What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So we're in the 12-hour period for our maintenance update, which is going to go at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So you can see here it's going to start at it's at 1600 Pacific time. It's going to be 9 p.m. our time, and go till probably like 2-3 in the morning. Don't forget that they're going to give you some rewards for that overall. But they gave us the updates for this for the I guess you can call it the X-Force update, which kind of already lets me know that there are potential upgrades here coming for characters like Angel, or at least should be for characters like Angel and Deadpool. Yeah, so let's jump right on in and take a look at what some of these updates are. I am kind of excited about some of them, and some of them I'm like, yeah, you guys need to do better, right? But let's take a look at them overall. All right, so first thing, we knew we were getting tier 3 and tier 4 for Cable and for Strafe. So let's jump into those characters real quick and take a look at them. So this is the meat and potatoes of the update right here. What? Where's my window? It went away. There we go. So this is the meat and potatoes of the update right there. So essentially for the characters, it says skillful mutant mercenaries have gathered stop Omega level clone and his evil ally with carbonadium tentacles. The theme of the August update is X-Force Vol.2. Cable has become the incarnation of war and his tier 4 advancement, and the lucky assassin Domino will chase evil mutants with her new uniform and Warpath's abilities. So both Warpath and Domino will get their potential transcendence, and then Strafe will get his tier 3, and Cable will get his tier 4. Sad part about this is I anticipated that Omega Red would likely come to tier 3 because it doesn't make any sense for us to be getting tier 2 characters at this point. Now, I get it that he's like a native. You could have made him a free-to-play, he wouldn't have been a native tier 3. You could have just made him available for him to have a tier 3 skill. We got to stop this. There's no reason to be releasing tier 2 characters at this point. Like, we have absolutely no reason to have tier 2 characters. There are so many tier 2 characters who still yet to receive upgrades. And the worst part about some of these characters is that there's no potentiality for them to return to these characters. So like a character like Omega Red, he's a mutant. Could I see him possibly getting another update? Yeah, it's conceivable, but there's characters in here like Ronin, for instance. When are they going to return to this character? They're never going to return to some of these characters to basically give them their transcendent skills, and the transcendent skill is worthless. Like, let's be honest, like there's very few transcendent characters that they make where the character then ultimately shines and is like, hey, it's a transcendent character that's transcended above even maybe tier 3, a la Moonstone and characters like her. So he's not going to get his. So the one new hero that we get, and that I think a lot of people are excited for, and he's going to receive a tier 2, which makes him unplayable in a great many modes of our of the game. Like, if you were to just simply go inside here and say, hey, what modes are the people really playing right now? You'd be like, is Giant Boss, like on your daily list, right? Giant Boss World Co-op, you're playing World Boss Legends, you're playing Otherworld Battle, you're playing Timeline Battle. Those are like daily things that you're doing. These 4 modes: World Boss, Alliance Battle, Timeline Battle, Otherworld Battle 5, and then the Giant Boss Raid. Those are the modes that most players should be, at the very least, be playing every day. If you're not playing Ultimate story modes, then you're kind of missing out on a whole heap of rewards that I think that you should be playing. But essentially what we have here is a tier 2 character that's not going to be able to participate in any of these game modes with effect. And so you basically get a character that's introduced, and it's just bad. Even worse, right? Even worse is that you can see how you're going to acquire the character, and that makes it worse. Get 30 X genes daily. Special daily growth support is inside there. You get the store, the character. He's in the hero chest, in the premium hero chest, and he's going to be available to most players for free, because you can see here he's an X-Force Vol.2 themed update celebration event quest shop. So if you don't jump on him right now, you're going to basically have to jump on him here. I don't like the idea of them introducing at this point in the game paywall characters that are not going to have benefit. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So Omega release, the leader, he applies to all allies and he gets a 30% increase of physical attack, which only applies to himself. So not a great leadership there overall. It's a 30% increase of physical attack. You can basically boost him with other characters to get better. So I don't imagine this to be like, you know, a character that you're like, yeah, I really have to have the character. Then we get, he applies to self. Super armor increases all basic defense by 40%. Activation rate when HP is below. Let me actually pull this up so that way you guys can see it, since I don't have a character sheet to show with him. So he gets the super armor, increases all basic defenses by 40, right? And then as well, so that's Omega Sense. The Omega Menace, he gets 35% increase of HP, increases skill damage by 40 and 30, and a decreased damage received. So a nice passive in just terms of the 35% increase of HP. He gets bleed, nobody cares about. The recovery rate, decreased recovery rate on that bleed as well. Snare, incapacitation, and then he only recovers 15% of HP on his one skill. Weird, because then you know you're working in a full rotation with this character, because if I remember correctly looking through this already, there was no other places for him to gain HP. So you're going to be working that one skill in at some point to get that HP back. On 2, he has paralysis, which ignores immunity. And then you can see on his third skill, he gets the 100% chance to grant all damage immunity and the accumulation on his skill there. So you've basically got a 3-4-5 combo, it looks like, basically, or 3-5-4. Yes, 3-5-4 is probably going to be the combo, because the accumulation happens here. You jump over to 5 and you can see snare, incapacitation, but then he gets the frenzy buff on that skill for 55, 1, and 30. And then you can see over on 4, he gets to decrease all basic defenses, stacks up to 60%, ignores immunity, and then increase all basic attacks by 50% as well for 7 seconds. So you could, and I wonder what we're going to end up with there, because you could end up with a 3-4-5 or a 4-5 or 4-3-5, maybe. We'll see. But I think it's probably going to be 3-5-4. If I had to guess, it's going to be 3-5-4. Yeah, I probably guessed that one. So bad part about this, though, like I said, is you end up with a character that he's a combat class character, right? So number one, now that he's tier 2, you're comparing him against all tier 2 characters, right? Like, hate to say this, guys, but it's not even worth it for new players to be accelerating their growth for just a tier 2 character. They can't use it in content. So why release tier 2 characters? It makes no sense. Next up, we get 3 new uniforms. Okay, so 3 uniforms are spicy, and they should be spicy, right? So let's take a look at what they are overall. So let's go first into the uniform effect for the extra swords uniform, which I think most people is probably going to have. And you can look at the numbers here. The critical rate increase he gets on there for 20, and that damage increase, the critical damage stays at 30, and then he gets the 35 for increased change. So basically, the only thing added here is the critical rate increase by 20% on top of there, which is really, really nice. So it makes it easier to max out the options on Cable overall. So now let's take a look at his skills overall. So first up, Future Salvation is his ultimate. Nothing really changes on Future Salvation. He gets the invincible still for 7 seconds, and he increases, oh, excuse me, I lied. It increases the basic damage by 80% for one attack now on this skill instead of the 45. So he still keeps the all basic defense. So 80% increased basic damage now on his Future Salvation tier 3. Important part there, because that's a big jump from what it was before. That's almost a 35% increase in there. Yeah. 35% increase. So then we get his focus shot passive in here. Not a whole lot changed on this skill at all. Move over to telekinetic offensive, and he is basically now called Soldier Sense. He still keeps the guaranteed critical rate for 30, and he gets the increased skill damage. There's a little bit of a 10% increase here on the skill damage. The bonus damage stays exactly the same at 45%, so not a whole lot of change there. So then we look at his first skill, which was Judgment Light, is now called Energy Punch. Not a whole lot changed there. Stun Snare, so obviously skill change is going to be there, but it's still the same skill essentially with the new VFX. You're not really more than likely going to use that skill. His 2 skill is called Rifle Whip. Used to be Explosive Sword. Now you're going to get the Silence, the Paralysis, and which ignores immunity, and then the Silence with 3 on it. So complete change here because he had Bleed before in the skill and Incapacitation, which are no longer there. I should probably compare this to the Summer Days uniform, but whatever. It wasn't a good uniform, at least in my opinion. It wasn't a good uniform. His 3rd skill, which was Magnetic Force Field, is now, Orbit Strike is now called Magnetic Force Field. So on this skill, you're getting stunned, you're getting the paralysis. He recovers the 15% of HP now on this skill, and then you have Super Armor, which increases all basic defense by 30. He gets Barrier, which previously was for 5 times, is 10 times. So the recovery of 5% now goes up to 15%. The barrier goes up 10 times. And then the accumulation also changes because it's now 1% for each 1% of attack instead of the 0.7%. So major buffs incoming there for his accumulation skill. Next up, we have Grenade Blast, which was Warping Crossfire. Grenade Blast deals burn damage, for 30% additional, paralysis. Then he has increase all basic attacks for a nice frenzy buff of 65 and 35, and removes incapacitation. I don't know that I've seen anybody with a frenzy buff of 60, 35, and 35. That's insane boost. Insane boost. Like that is absolutely insane. 60, 35, 35. I'm trying to think of a character that I know that received that kind of boost on a frenzy buff in their T4 upgrades. I don't know any. So next up, we've got Dimensional Slash, which is now hologram release. You get the burn here instead of bleed. I always like the burn. Excuse me. Actually, he gets the burn and bleed on this skill. So he is burn for 30%, bleed for 26%. He gets stun. He gets incapacitation, which is already there. The incapacitation, which is nice, is 3 seconds this time instead of 2 seconds. He gets invincible for 5 seconds, and then he gets it increased to the basic damage by 70% for 1 attack. So that is nice. And now I don't know if this is if it's a patch note error or whatever, but here you can see it was activation when attacking a supervillain type enemy, and it applies itself. In the patch notes, there is no note of it, so it's just a basic flat out increase basic damage by 70% for 1 attack for 7 seconds instead of the 5 seconds. So yeah, we'll have to see what that looks like. Yeah, okay. So Cable's new uniform should be a trigger bonus for him no matter what, just because I think there's a lot of improvement in buffs, but the problem with patch notes and what they write down, it doesn't often come down to just the patch notes in terms of being able to define whether a character is going to be good, bad, or indifferent, because on paper they could look good, but then when you actually see whether there's iframes and whether there's enough hits on a skill, it can automatically change the nature of a character. So Cable looks like he's pretty straightforward, and what he's looking for, 3, 4, 5, is essentially a combo rotation for him. We'll have to see what that looks like overall though, but Cable's looking pretty nice on paper. Now, no matter what you do with Strafe, it's going to be improvement. I mean, this dude has never had a uniform, so it's going to be his first uniform in there. Problem is, like I pointed out to you guys in the video the other day, is that he's going to be fighting an uphill battle that he's just receiving a tier 3. It's going to be hard to equate him to tier 4 characters inside there. Luckily for him, he only has 1 to go against really at this point, and that's Magneto. So let's take a look at what his skills look like. So his new uniform option is going to be great for otherworld battle and modes like that because he applies to all allies. He removes all debuffs from a character. So pretty nice inside there. His leader ability, he's going to, I don't know why they even use these for leadership abilities, but this was the authority of the High Lord, which he had before. So that ability, which was remove all debuffs, is basically moved to his uniform. I hate when they do stuff like this because it's almost a cheat. So like, that's not a uniform effect, like, because you had it already in the character kit. So you could have moved it around in the character kit and gave us another, you know, type of ability. So I hate when they do that. So anyways, you get Power Curtain, or excuse me, Authority of the High Lord was the leadership ability, and now he gets an increased all basic defense by 50%. So you basically move, this is what I mean by this. So you moved his leadership ability to his uniform effect, which means the uniform effect is canceled out because the ability was already there in his kit. And you gave us a shitty leadership ability in terms of increase all basic defense by 50%. I mean, it could be good, but that doesn't make it worthy of giving him tier 3 and then putting that on the uniform. For all matters, intents, and purposes, depending on how much the uniform look could have changed, you could have just left it there or put that ability inside of one of his passives instead of doing it on the uniform effect. I hate that. Hate it. I'm just gonna make it a point in the video because I hate it that much. So anyways, we go to Power Curtain. So now he gets an 80% chance. It's still the same. Super Armor is gonna be 15%, and then he increases skill damage by 50, bonus damage by 30. So that's it for his So his other passive, Energy Curtain, is going to stay true. Immunity to fracture, immunity to incapacitation effects, and decrease basic damage received by 50. Not a bad passive either way how you look at it. So his number 1 skill is now going to be called Rock Strike, and he's going to get Stun, Fracture, which he already had for 10 seconds. The stun is going to be increased for 3 seconds, and that's it. Then we get his 2 skill, which is going to be called Paralysis Explosion. Stun, Snare is going to be added. He keeps the incapacitation, but removes the active buff from a target for 10 seconds. So that's nice. The energy damage is going to be increased up on that one as well. His 3rd skill, which was Psionic Cannon, is now going to be called Blast Beam. All right, so on this skill is where he's going to get his accumulation. The accumulation is going to be 1.2% of increase all basic attack. So that's, you know, just the fact that he has an accumulation now. It's also going to be a counteracting skill. So when you defend, right, he's going to have shock on this one. He already had the fracture stays, the incapacitation stays. He gets the recovery, a nice recovery effect of 30% HP, and he gets 100% chance to grant all damage immunity for 4 seconds. So that's going to be a nice 3rd skill. You're opening up probably with that skill in there. His 4th skill is now called Psionic Rain. He keeps the shock on that skill, but the deals is 30% lightning damage instead of you know, the 14%. That lets you know how old this character kit is. He also loses the fear and gains silence, has incapacitation on his skill as well, and then he applies to self increase all basic attacks for a nice frenzy buff of 50, 15, and 20. So nice little frenzy buff there for that one. So he looks like he's going to have a simple kit as well of 3, 4, 5. So he gets silence, fracture, incapacitation on his 5th skill, which is now called Shockwave Cluster Bomb. And then he gets invincible for 6 seconds, and he gets the increased basic damage by 100% for 1 attack on that skill. So probably similar, mirroring, fucking hell. Cable, he gets really simple rotation of 3, 4, 5. So now we look at Domino, who is going to receive a potential Transcendence or a Transcendence skill inside here. Her uniform, this is the most recent uniform for her. This was the original one. I really like this uniform. I thought it was cool as hell. Something about the way that they design the straps and stuff like that. Rob Liefeld, Chris Claremont, Age of Image comics and stuff like that coming to Marvel, just straps galore. Yeah, so she looked pretty good in that one. So you can see the uniform effect here. Uniform effect basically doesn't change. Increase all basic attacks is 35, chain hit 15, and then we get the 30% chance to increase critical damage by 100% on critical attacks, which is crazy, right? So, and this is going again to why I keep saying we need a transmog kit inside this game, because nothing about the uniform bonuses change. The only thing that's different is that she's getting a change of effects of the skill for manipulated probability, right? Like it staggers the question. If you're not changing the uniform bonus, why give us a new uniform? If you're not changing the new uniform bonuses, why Why change the uniform? But anyways, so let's jump up in here, and we can take a look at the character. So basically, that manipulated probability skill down here is now called Slippery Luck. So Slippery Luck is going to have the dodge rate increase by 20, but she's also going to gain the guard break immunity and the decreased basic damage received by 30 on there. So that's essentially what you're getting for the uniform, is those two skills, guard break immunity and decreased basic damage received by 30. But hey, you introduced a new CTP, which we'll talk about later, that gives characters guard break immunity. Okay, so then we get into her first skill, which was called Krakoa Smack. Not a whole lot on Krakoa Smack except for the burn, and then we get stunned. So yeah, it is what it is. Probability of detonation now becomes windmill tackle. There's nothing but paralysis on this skill, which ignores immunity, so you're not really flowing into her 1 and 2 skills the way you were with Sabretooth. And then we get rain of grenades, which is now target locked. It's a counterattacking ability, and there's a lot on this skill. Like this, her third skill looks like some people's tier 3 skills. So you get burn, which deals 30% fire damage. You get removes active buff from the target. You get paralysis, which ignores immunity. You get 40% chance to penetrate with super armor, barrier, blah blah, everything else in there. Super armor, which increases all basic defenses by 30. 100% chance to grant all damage immunity inside this skill. She gets the increase all basic attacks by the weirdest one inside here by 13% per 1% of pure damage received. And then she has her accumulates pure damage up to 15% of max HP. And then she also has the reflect on here for 35% damage received regardless of the attacker's evasion. There's a shit ton of stuff to work out on Domino's tier 3 skill. So that's where we start to see some of the upside of the character, because Jesus Christ, that is a lot on target lock. That is a whole lot. Wow, it's like they threw the kitchen sink at her on this ability. Like everything's underneath her third skill, everything. So then on her fourth skill, we get burn. Again, we get her recovery effect of 20% HP, and we get an increase all basic attacks for a frenzy buff of 50, 5, and 30 on there. So nice frenzy buff skill for her there. Her fifth skill, which is now called Lucky Barrage, gets burn, stun, and then we get an invincible for 3 seconds. We get increased basic damage increased basic damage by 100% for one attack, and we get the decreased basic damage taken from enemies by 40% and increased basic damage dealt to them by 25%, but it's excluding bosses, right? So nothing changes on her leadership at all. So Cable gets his tier 4. I'll pop that on our screen so you can see it. Cable gets his tier 4. Really nice looking tier 4 skill here. I think it's the first that we've seen this, where his applies to self. You're activating his, recharges his tier 3 skill gauge by 15% for 1 second, and then you also get the activation rate when skill regular attacks excluded is used. Increase all basic attacks by 20% for a max of 80%. So you're definitely going to be opening up with your tier 4 and then rotating in between all of your skills, so that way you can increase those attacks basically as you go through. So 4, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 skill. So it's going to, hopefully he has some quick skill animation cancels inside there, make it look good. Strife's tier 3 skill is inside of here. He gets stun, fracture, incapacitations on everything this dude has. Ignore target's dodge rate by 80%, invincible for 10 seconds, increase all basic attacks by 50%, and energy damage of 85%. So we do get a little preview window of his skills inside of his tier 3 skill inside there. I always wish they made these like a little bit bigger or something like that. We've seen the rock summon formation before and then strike down, so there's like not a whole lot to me necessarily with this skill, because like we've seen this skill before, you know what I mean? Like essentially you just have an in view Thanos raining fire down, or you know, hurling, or Jean Grey. Like we've seen it before, so I'm not really that excited about that skill. It's just a rock now, and it's more in camera, so I'm not really that excited. Next up, we get Domino and Warpath's Awaken skills. So burn, bleed, critical rate, critical damage, ignore target's dodge rate 70%, removes all debuffs, increase basic attacks, and then the physical damage. The problem with these with these transcendences, I've started to feel like the transcendences become like one-stop shops to just like kind of like do the same exact damn thing. Like they don't really feel like it's the same skill list almost every single time when you read them. So it's just, I don't know. It's like, okay, you just gave it a little bit of improvement there. At this point, like they've changed up enough of Domino skills to make sure that the uniform that we're gonna get is worth it. But I'm dying to see it. So next up, what I want to talk about is what they've changed the most that I think players are gonna be happy about, and it's gonna be this Shadowland. Yeah, Shadowland is receiving the much anticipated update that it needed. So let's take a look at that really quickly because we are getting the Shadowland shop finally. So you're going to be able to auto progress skills now. Yeah, you're going to be able to auto progress floors between 1 through 15. So the auto progress, if you don't have previous seasons completed, it's not going to be able to be cleared because it's looking at what characters you use for floors 1 through 15. So that's going to be good. So you can just auto progress through stages 1 through 15. 1 through 15, you use like the easiest stages. Like you can use your bottom barrel characters, like mostly like your tier 2s that haven't received updates in forever. Those characters are good enough for you to go through and complete them. So that's good. So you get the auto progress, right? So between stages 1 to 25, if you purchase the shield special support. So typically I do purchase this shield special support because it gives you some room. Oh, I purchased it. So why am I looking inside here? It's not going to show up. So if you purchase the special support, shield special support, and they give you those and they give you the dailies, and then it allows you to refill entries of timeline. I think these are like $9.99 to purchase every month, and it basically is now going to replace the Auto Plus feature with a Shadowland batch clear, and the Shadowland tokens in Shadowland floors 36 and up, you're going to get a 10% increase on those Shadowland clears. So that's going to be important, and you'll see why here in a second. So they're basically adding another pay to play kind of layer, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I purchased that and the Tony Stark's patch every month pretty religiously. So the reason is because that had the Auto Pass Plus inside of it. Now you just basically get that everybody gets that for free, but you're going to get those batch clears that's going to allow you to clear out levels 1 through 25 instantaneously. So that just saves you a whole shit ton of time, because you could play Shadowland. It could take you anywhere from 30 minutes to a few hours to go to the highest levels, but you now have reason to clear those levels. So now you can see that the batch clear complete conditions will be there, and you're basically gonna get mailed items. It'll show you what the characters were used for. It'll be previous cleared characters as well, and then you get those rewards inside there with all the gold all the way up to 25. Now, the question for me is why they didn't just do it all the way to 35, because I conceivably look at like stage 35 as like the new player, like the intermediate challenge, because all you got to really do to clear stages 30 to 35 is really have characters at level 70, and that's it. So like I wish the batch clear would have been all the way up to stage 35, so that way you can just jump into the meat and potatoes of clearing out stage 36s and onward. But this is giving you reason now to go in and complete the stages past 35, 36 and onward, because yes, there is a Shadowland shop now. And so the Shadowland chest is going to be available inside the shop, along with other things like the Dimension chest CTP and the Odin's Blessing chest that we can see. So there's probably going to be some other items in there like Cosmic Cube fragments and things like that of that nature. So you're going to be able to hold up to 60,000 of these Shadowland tokens. So with those tokens, the purchasing that Shadowland boost, this Shadowland boost, the shield support pack, you're going to be able to get 10% on those tokens that you earn. So that's going to be a pretty big boost in terms of pay to win, because obviously that's 10% is a lot. Like it can mount to a lot, especially with the number of stages inside there. So you can see like some of the Shadowland shop available items that they have in here is going to be Shadowland chest unlimited. You can purchase 1 CTP per month, 2 Odin's Blessing chests per month, antimatter, essence of dimension, and then carbonadium being in there is probably the biggest thing that I can see is going to help out players a lot, right? For 2,500, you can purchase 2 of these carbonadium packs for 400. Essence Dimension, I don't really find a need. Black Antimatter, I don't find a need. Like, these items, nothing inside here. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know how ecstatic I am about purchasing any Odin's Blessings either. And Dimension Chest, I have this feeling, this thing about me, I hate the idea of shops where I'm purchasing freaking, you could basically waste 11,000 tokens because you could end up with an egg and then be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? But we'll have to also see if the new CTP, oh no, excuse me, I just read it. The CTP of Conquest cannot be acquired in the Dimension Chest CTP, of course, right? So now everyone can use Autoplay Plus without having to use that. 3 stages are going to be in there. Some of the conditions for the stages have been changed as well, and the clear record in previous season is going to be applied after the August update. So just be prepared for that. It's good that we're getting on Tuesday because then we'll be able to do it and then we'll be able to play it. So that's good. All right, so let's jump back into here. So some of the other things that they've got inside here is battle points. The boost point usage can now be set to always max in giant boss raids, so that way you don't have to do it. I know there's been a number of times where I've played giant boss raid and just missed out on clicking that and then been pissed off because I'm like, I gotta go play another character inside world boss that I really don't want to do, like giant boss that I really don't want to do. So nice there if there's always max. What'd be even fucking nicer is if they had like you know, a way for you to pre-select your team prior to you joining, so that way you didn't have that wait time inside there. They do have auto progress now is going to be inside the story. This is really good because thank the heavens, so you can see when proceeding in order, autoplay is carried out in order of stage only stages. So it's like start from stage 1, auto use designated characters inside there. Because like the bad part about this, right, is that you would jump inside of ultimate story mode and you jump inside here and you go to autoplay, right? But so characters can't participate. So you go inside here and then it's just auto designate use characters. But what you don't end up noticing a lot of times is start at the last point. Why it just doesn't reset back over here to stage 1 of that, who fucking knows, right? So now it's gonna have the auto progress, so that way you go in there, so that way it's good. What else do they have? Oh, so here goes the biggest news outside the Shadowland event that I think most people are going to be happy with, is that we get the new CTP of Conquest with 2 new abilities on them. So you essentially have the guard break immunity recovery rate 90%. HP's below, you're going to recover 10% HP, 20% increase of max HP, and then you have 2 new abilities in Call and Wall and Clash. Wall decreases the damage received by 80%, reduce damage but decrease by 3% with each hit taken, up to 60%, and Clash increase basic damage by 60% and additional 50% of concentration. So this is going to be a nice skill. You can see that they even max out at some of the brilliant options over here, which I think, you know, hey, look, 30% max HP is nice recovery effect inside there. And then you get increase all basic defenses on the skill. So I think this is going to be a nice little CTP. Gotta have something to chase, guys, right? Gotta have something to chase. I'm happy that they just released the CTP with the Re4 options as well. Now, up next, I think one of the things I'm really excited for is the fact that they've added new cards in. And so, yeah, they did it to you, right? They gave you some pay-to-win options, and then they also lightened it up on you guys and gave you some new free-to-play card options as well. Now, my only problem with these free-to-play card options, because I'm really happy that they gave them, especially centered around Doctor Strange, which, oh, by the way, could be alluding to a possible Tier 4 Doctor Strange for mid-month, because there should be no reason why we're just getting Doctor Strange comic cards inside of the game, right? So the big thing about these comic cards that they're now adding is these are just normal comic cards. These are not premium comic cards. Jesus, why can't I speak? You basically have ways on these to upgrade them to Mythic to acquire the all basic attack increase by 4% effect as a collection reward. So that's pretty good, right? It's a normal comic card that's inside there. So they're new comic cards, theme is updated on them. and you can also collect these with additional pierce damage increases and options. So that's another like really nice thing. So you can see like the fixed option is additional pierce damage is increased by 1.5. So it's basically like a free to play option to get some pierce damage. You can't really complain about these cards. I like the comic cards that they've used as well, especially Doctor Strange 400. Just reminded me somewhat of Marvel Future Revolution there a little bit with the comic cards. So overall, not too bad and too shabby. Now we also get the artifacts in the game. System I hate the most. Go watch Cynic Alex's video where he basically showed you how to get 200-300 what are they called? I can't even remember what they're called now. The essences or whatever for artifacts to get them. So Cables is a guaranteed critical rate increase. We get Strifes is a recovers HP. We get so that one's probably pretty nice because that's below HP. Below he recovers HP. So you definitely probably want to hopefully get that one. For a tier 3 character. Then we get Omega Red, increase all basic attacks. Okay. We get Domino, who's 50% chance to remove all debuffs, receive an additional 20% chance to dodge all attacks. That's a nice one. And then we get Warpath, and increase basic damage dealt to enemies with 50% HP or higher by 25%. So those are nice artifacts for 2 out of the 3 characters ultimately in there. We're also getting a new future season pass. But of course, my friends, and so this will include some of the really, I like the icons, to be perfectly honest. I think all of the icons look kind of cool inside this update. So like, let me pull this into view so you can see them. It's just easier to do it this way. Now, what are you doing? Okay, so here we go with the Cable icon. Looks pretty cool. The Omega Red and Warpath and Domino. I think all of these look pretty cool. There used to be a game on Nintendo we used to play, Midnight Rider or some shit like that. And this is what this gives me like drawbacks to for that one. We also get the new uniform collection inside there with all of the X-Force Volume 2 characters. Some of the other improvements that they've made in the game, the Alliance support feature has been improved, so that way the max items that you can generate towards the game is up to 10, and you get those support rewards. The universe artifact and uniform effects can be changed inside the Marvel universe. The skip feature on crafting has been improved as well, and that's about it. So pretty stuff packed update here in terms of Marvel Future Fight coming. And if you're not playing it, and you like, really guys, if you're not playing it and you're not jumping in for some of these new features, you're probably never going to jump in and play it. But I hope that you give it a chance. It's kind of rough to look at some of the team of characters that they have inside here that they've got for the update and wonder what the hell they're doing by releasing a new character as a tier 2. But overall, I think the uniform options for these 3 characters should be pretty good in elevating the characters. With the Shadowland increase, maybe that's the justification for having tier 2 characters still inside the game. I don't know. I just really think that they need to move beyond releasing tier 2 characters. We just had this problem with characters like Killmonger, Winwoo got released and the dude just came in. It's like it was crazy, right? So we've seen this problem before, and I'd love to know what they're thinking. Like even for a character like Spot, where I think it's a pass or spoiler effect, but we know he's going to be into the Spider-Verse or beyond the Spider-Verse in 2024 whenever that movie is released. So he'll be getting an upgrade from his Transcendence more than likely at that point, because he'll be the full-fledged villain of the movie. But yeah, we'll have to end up seeing what comes of this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's a little bit long, but there was a lot to cover, especially with the Shadowland updates. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Until next time, peace.